All right. In today's rendition of we ain't gonna be here for 2 hours. I promise today, like for real. I'm gonna make sure that I keep all of us in line. But Jay's got some disclosures she wants to make, which I'm glad that we had like a pre-conversation beforehand, because I don't know what it is about me, and maybe y'all can tell me what it is. But usually when people tell me like what it is about me, I'm like, fam, like that's not even where I want to steer at. So like, it's Happy Easter, everybody, Resurrection Sunday, whatever you believe in, right? So we go over to my aunt's house, and my little cousin, he plays ball, and he was talking about how they had a game, summer league game yesterday, and how he had like a poor shooting performance. And he was like giving me all these excuses that I wouldn't take like as a coach. Like I went into coach mode, but I was like, look, man, like not because like you did anything wrong, but it's like you're a leader. So as a leader, you shouldn't have certain types of conversations, right? Yeah. And you shouldn't say certain things about the team that you're leading if you want them to respect you and everything. So I think he missed that point. But there was a point in the conversation where we were getting heated, and in my mind, I'm talking to another grown man. A fucking single tear dropped down his eye.
You be cutting.
And I was like, yo, why are you emotional right now? He's like, I'm just an emotional person. I was like, God damn, right?
Same, fam.
And I was like, yo, I feel like I'm just connected with the youth. I'm more further of being old than I am being young right now. So, we had this conversation. Motherfucker left. Right? He's like, I'm out of here. Fuck all this. So I had to send him a message right now and let him know, like, bro, I'm not getting at you. I know what you're capable of. Like, I seen him play. Like, he is better than what he's displaying, but he's playing, not free. And that's been my theme lately, is like, people just being free to be themselves, like unapologetically, And so I say all that because me and Jay had the same little moment earlier where she was like, motherfucker, you're not getting what I'm saying. I'm like, God damn. I was like, I'm just asking a question real quick. But I was like, there's something about me and how I say things where I think people... Respectfully, y'all hold me in a higher standard than y'all need to. Right? Because it's like I want to be among the commoners with, with y'all in terms of like conversation and everything. It's like, just add me in that bucket. I just ask challenging questions, not because I'm challenging you as a person, but it's like, how are we going to get better from this together?
Yeah. And I think that and once we get there, once we get to that understanding, then it's clear. And if you can get to that point, and see, the thing is that sometimes because of the delivery that comes off of you, you can't always push past. I've had my moments where we've had to cut the mic, cut the camera. We got, early on,
I forgot that even
we've come a long way. That's why, because we've really learned how to work through things. But my point is, I've had those moments where I had to walk away from conversations with you because of feeling frustrated or misunderstood or, spoken, I don't know, just it cutting a little bit. That's what I mean. Sometimes it cuts. And I think that it's not necessarily, it's sometimes where I think this is what it is. And I don't mean this in any kind of like
I need to hear this, so just go ahead and say it.
But it almost feels like an interrogation. So it's like, and you know what?
Is it the tone?
It's the tone. It's the spitfiring questioning. It's like not letting me finish one part before you're like, okay, let me ask the next question because got what I need from that. Let me get to the next one. It feels like
that's pretty fire.
It feels like a bit of an interrogation.
I feel like I do that, so that's pretty fire.
And even though it's like you're trying to problem solve, right? Or you're like you said, I'm trying to see how you can get better from this, which is a form of troubleshooting, and so that that initiative and that level of care and support and is appreciated. But sometimes in the moment when you're are trying to be vulnerable and you are emotional and you are defensive, it feels uneasy. And it's like, hey, I'm just trying to come to you and tell you what's been going on. And maybe once I get all that out there, then you can start the interrogation. And you're right. I need to be better, coach. Let's go. Coach me.
You're right.
But I think when it's I'm in the initial beginning, when it's I really how I said, I'm talking to my friend right now. I wanted to have this conversation with you as friend Jay and Karl before we got on as, you know, Grown Folks Business, Normal Ass Karl and Juicy J Fox, you know, and so I think that like maybe we do give you too much credit, but we know, like, we trust you, we want to confide in you, we you know, we know what you're saying is true and intended well, so of course we want to come to you for counsel. That's why we're bringing the, you know, whatever it is to you. But I think it's like sometimes it's like, man, sometimes, dog, I just want like to be able to get this off. And
you just told me I had girlfriend vibes, and that's crazy. I didn't think about that. Like my boy was talking earlier. Long story less long. His brother had a baby, and I was like, "So how many weeks was she?" I don't know. I was like, "Well, 37 is the norm." And he's like, "I don't know the fuck." And he was like, "Oh, how the fuck do you know this?" And I was like, "Yo, like the way my job is set up, so it's like I'm having these types of conversations that traditionally men don't have with women." But I'm giving you the male tendencies because it's like I give you the lead opening of, girl, come on, let's talk. And then I'm like, nigga, what you doing?
The hood version of exactly.
Oh,
because it's like, yeah, come on, let's talk about it. And then it's like, damn, you fucking up. And I know. Like, jeez.
Oh, shit.
Can I cry before I get grilled?
That's funny. I don't do well at that. That's the problem. And I got to work on that. It's not that saying that we can't, but like, yeah, I'm trying to problem solve or help work through something when you just trying to get your shit off.
Yeah.
And I don't do well with that.
And I literally just had this flashback of like a core memory I have, which was how I used to play softball, and I was pretty good. I played like from childhood until high school. And I remember my mom every single time after the game, as soon as we were walking, you know, to the car, it was just all critiques. It was all how you can do better, how you can do better, how you can do better. Versus like, damn, like, can I get a second, or can I just hear like, all right, it was a good game? And so I think I'm sensitive to like the what can feel like critiques, even though I know that's not your intention. Right. So even when it isn't critiquing, I'm just speaking for myself, it can feel like I can feel defensive. And that's what you were kind of getting at earlier when you were like, Jay, like, I'm trying to understand you, you know, like, you don't need to feel shameful here. And you're
probing questions I get can do that though. I shouldn't have probed like that. And so I think
that's what we mean by like, I think that like the probe is okay, but maybe just the level of speed or the delivery or allowing the soft land. It's all of us, because that's why I was like, well, two things, both of our like probably maybe, I don't want to say like more of our blind spots, both of our probably top blind spots where we both need to work on is you and that delivery, and me and my defensiveness. Like, let's be real.
Like, we got to receive and give at the same frequency.
And so both of our little choo-choos were like working against each other in a moment that was already, you know, like a tough one to get off of, and I was anxious around. But with the fact, like I said, like we're able to get through that, and now we're like, okay, let's get on here. And
I get what you're saying, and the only reason why I know what you're saying is because of Theron.
Shout out Theron.
Me and Theron are really good friends, but the way this motherfucker be talking sometimes, you think I'm bad. I be like, yo, who's he talking to right now? like I don't.
He be doing it?
Yeah, hey, go pick that up. What? Yo, yeah.
Not your... The heck?
Hey,
please?
Go grab that for me. What? Like, if you don't get your ass up, man, what the fuck?
I'm not your child.
Yeah, like the way he be talking, I'm like, and so I from that standpoint, because I was trying to relate to you, like whoever says that about me or has had that conversation, I had to realize that, like, yeah, delivery, tone, they matter, right? And so in that instance, I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it now. I'm wilding. So yeah. We're gonna go ahead and get straight into the episode, and then we'll get straight to it. We gotta make sure that everybody's got time to think it through. Yes. I want to welcome y'all to the You Wasn't Outside podcast on the Grown Folks Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts, not doing the most, Normal Ass Karl. To my front, I have the one, the only Sherbert dressed to impress.
Count me a little Sunday.
Oh man, there you go. There we go. Miss Juicy J.
Hey.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey.
You hit it with the two hallelujahs right there. there because she's a blessing. All right.
Shoot.
There we go. Listen. We got a show for y'all today. Yes. The #1 podcast in San Diego for all things bullshit and trauma. All things bullshit and trauma. Turn the fuck up in here. I was tired of shit earlier, but I'm awake now. All right, listen. All right, I went out this week twice. Actually, I went out last Friday, and then I went out this last Friday that just passed.
Out?
Yeah. Got dressed, everything to the nines.
Just
Friday.
Because?
No. So
okay.
Doug came. Well, yes, Doug came in, and I was like, all right, let me see him in action. He's, Doug. How do I want to say this?
Yeah.
Doug is free now, so I was like, all right, let me see this version of him. 2 weeks ago. Where the fuck did I go to? Oh, 2 weeks ago, I just went to like a little spot down the street, like literally a mile away from my house or whatever, to watch the game.
Yeah.
It's just cool, right? Now my boys been going over there now too. They hit me yesterday to watch the Laker game. I don't want to say what that is right now.
I know. That's why. That's why I didn't air it out.
I don't want to say what it is right now. It's cool. It's not a strip club or nothing for all y'all that got your mind in the gutter and everything. My wife know what I'm talking about, so we good. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I went out. Look. The last time I went out was about 8 or 9 months ago, around the time when my boy, before his girl had delivered, and we went out, and we went to Lafayette Hotel.
Oh, that's right, that bougie spot.
Yeah. So then we go out again, so I go Parks and Rec. I go to 7 Grand.
Oh, I love all those spots.
There's a new record recording place off
you smoke cigars, right? 7 Grand?
Yes, they have a cigar thing in the back. Then they have, we went to 7 Grand, Park and Rec, the little record store place off of 30th that's new, where that little pink building used to be at by True North.
Okay.
And then I saw The Office, right? So now the shit hit me, right? Because I'm like, 10 years ago in my stomping grounds or whatever, I'd hit The Office. The problem is when I got in front of The Office, there was nobody there, right? And I was like, damn. I was like, when I used to go outside, this shit used to be cracking. I used to have the door open and shit.
Yeah.
There's like 4 security guards out there. And I'm like, hey, man, we can give them the ID. They're like $5 cover. I said, bro, that's an old model. I'm not giving you $5 to get into this place.
And nobody's here.
Yeah, it's not even off of the cheap shit now. Like, look, I just put in for a table a month and a half ago. Bougie me is not spending $5 to go into this dive bar, right?
That kills me, though. You can go in on a table, but you won't pay the $5 to just get in the bar.
Yeah, because if I got to pay to get in or whatever, like, you got to at least have the door open. You got to have a long line.
And that's how rich people think. Like, that's what we're talking about. Rich people problems.
I'm just
rich people problems.
But are you paying $5 to get in?
I mean, maybe we're there. It's a good time. $5
you don't know, though. The door's closed.
I'm there. It's a good time. There's a bar. There's a jukebox or a DJ, and there's me.
I'm going to explain to you.
I love an empty bar. Yes. Here's $5. No one's in here. Sign me up.
I'm going to give you the reason why I couldn't do that. While we were at Parks and Rec, I was looking around. Again. Damn, I keep circling back to what the fuck you saying, but let me just try to be better. There was a dude in there, and he was singing Rastafari music. White dude. Right? And I was like, all right, cool.
He was singing Rastafari music?
Yeah.
A white guy?
Yes. Then they had a black drummer.
Okay.
But he was like my dad's age.
Okay.
And he was hitting shit out of them drums.
Was the white guy really old too?
No. Oh. He was like fucking some 29-year-old PB looking guy, right?
All right.
Cool. So I was cool. He had dreads too. I was like, he's with the culture and shit. You know what I mean?
All right, gets passed.
Yeah, we didn't have these words of like culture vulturism back then.
He was
like,
from OB?
Yeah, I don't know. But
he was low-key.
Why is he in North Park? So then he started singing. I was like, this motherfucker can't sing, right? I was like, how are you fucking up here? Can't.
Oh.
So it made it worse because he was like struggling to hit some of them. I was like, you're not from Zion. Like, I know that you're not hitting.
What do they call it?
He was just posing. I don't know what the term is.
Yeah, there's an actual term for it. Why can't I think of it? It'll come to me. What's that term when you're trying to...
Culture, I said culture.
Not like culture vulture. No,
there's a whole nother word.
We're going to come back to it.
And I'll remember when I'm not thinking so hard.
Yeah.
So then...
He couldn't sing.
He gets done.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the people around in the spot. Oh, this is how I knew I was old. So I asked the girl kicks us out the back room out of the Park and Rec. And she's like, yeah, you guys got to leave. We got a DJ setting up. So back in my time, Grandpa, because the way she made me feel, you could ask people like, what kind of music is being played? So I said, what kind of music is going to be played? She's like, it's a DJ, you know, like rap, rock, hip hop, R&B, all the. I said, that's a lot, right? What does he normally play?
What's
right?
the theme of the night?
Yeah, but she said that as if like it was the dumbest question to ask. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just fucking out of touch.
No.
Right? And so I leave, right? And I'm looking at the Rastafarian dude.
Yeah.
He ain't no fucking shoes on. Right? He's just like having the time of his life, barefooted with his fucking toes out, but the bottom of his feet. There it is. Cultural appropriation.
He was appropriating the culture
put some
and
fucking
couldn't even
shoes on.
sing.
Then I'm inside the bar. I hate the style of dress on everybody, men alike, right? Men, women. Like, yo, y'all taking this. A lot of people are dressed like foreign exchange students now.
What is like?
I'm gonna give you
like.
Look, if you have big flared out jeans with like New Balances, I have a hard time. Like, you look like a substitute teacher to me.
It's cool. This is what's cool now.
I know.
You're old.
I know. And that's where I was like, yo, we gotta leave. So then we leave. But then I realized like, yo, these kids can't dance. So like Dougie came on when we got to 7th grade and they got a hip hop thing in the back. Yeah, teach me how to Dougie. These kids started doing their own weird thing, and I was like, where the fuck is John Wall when you need him? Remember John Wall? He used to do the little arm thing with the Dougie and shit. Where's John Wall?
With the wheelchair.
Dude, there was only one person that knew how to Dougie. Guess what their ethnicity was?
Filipino.
No, she was white, red hair.
Oh.
She looked like she was
hitting it?
She was doing all kind. And it
was
wasn't.
she doing that and catching it?
It had no seasoning. Right,
but all the ingredients were there.
All the ingredients was there. Mrs. Dash,
no seasoning, but all the Mrs. Dash.
Mrs. Dash.
That's a bar. All I'm gonna start describing shit like that.
Yeah, Mrs. Dash.
Had all the ingredients, but none of the seasoning.
Yeah, no flavor. Like I was just like, okay. And then the other guys is just do. I said, oh shit, am I at the age now? I said, where the fuck are all the people that Dougie?
Where are all the people that Dougie?
Where are all the people that Dougie?
And Superman that hoe.
Yeah,
and Superman that
they're at home with their kids where I should be, right?
Precisely.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm fucking young and just be like, oh my God. I told my wife, I said, look, there's probably like 2 women out of like this 5 spots where I was like, damn, she's a beautiful girl.
Okay.
That quote is crazy. We went back to Lafayette like after that. Then there was I'm gonna say this, but just know the dad said something crazy to me. There was some legit foreign exchange students that was sitting at the table, and me and the guy.
Why are you saying that?
Listen, I feel justified after what the fuck she said to me.
We are like a tourist city.
Yeah, but but here's the thing. They was young though.
That's why you're calling them foreign exchange students.
They literally was foreign exchange students, like from San Diego State.
Okay.
And like it was an Asian girl. She had on the Pippi Longstocking shoes with the white socks though.
Cute, like the loafers with the white socks.
Yeah, not for me.
Oh, I love that look.
With like a formal dress on, right? And I was like, oh, maybe she's killing it. I don't know. Like, I'm not from this.
Okay.
Then there was 2 Indian girls. One of them was looking at me and my homie at the same time, if you catch my drift, right? So then I'm like, all right. The other one, she didn't look that bad, but they looked young, right? And I was like, let me just go ahead and squeeze on through.
Hold on. Y'all see, and that's why if you're not listening, if you ain't listening fast enough, if you ain't listening fast enough, it's not that he's talking too fast. You're listening too slow.
No,
you missed the shit he says.
No.
He said she was looking at me and my homie at the same time.
Yeah,
if you catch my drift and try to proceed on with this conversation.
She did. She was just fishbowling it. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, that's cool. I try to get by.
Okay.
Right? I'm trying to squeeze by, but I'm trying to be the cool squeeze by guy. Like, let me get through. Right? There's another dude behind me. We're about the same size. And then she looks at me dead in my face. Not the one that was looking at me and my friend at the same time, but the other one. Okay. The other one looks at me dead in my face, and she's like, it's because you're fat.
That little bitch.
Yeah, thank you. You
fuck
can say that. And I said, the fuck she say? And I was like,
hell?
And then my man was like, did she just call you fat? I was like, yeah. I said, yeah. I was like, I'm not going to change that anytime soon. And my self-esteem is great. Right? Matter of fact, motherfucker, I already lost weight.
Yeah.
I already lost 30 pounds.
I'm not like sensitive. It's rude.
Yeah. But where they're from, that seems like the norm thing. Like, and you date somebody that, or you were married to someone who
yes,
is from a different country.
Yes.
They say things that we don't think is funny, but they're being funny about it.
And the other part is that when someone is learning English, we have a plethora of words. We can describe money with how many different words, right? Like we could say moolah, money, cash, dinero, like whatever. When you're learning English, like there's only so many words you know. So like, we know fat, but we could say thick, chubby, bulky. Like there's so
like he's
many.
A big guy.
We have we have a large vocabulary. It's like almost like, and I do not want this to sound like dehumanizing or disrespectful, but it's almost like, a toddler where they have a limited vocabulary. So there's only so many words that they have in the word bank that they can use to describe whatever it is, and so it often becomes out much more blunt and therefore rude,
right?
Versus like where we have at our discretion the dance of words where I could be like, oh, all right, big fella, or like, oh, excuse me, we're a little, you're a little thick.
I'm like, oh, like, fat ass, my bad. But you're right.
I don't care. I could have lost 100 pounds, and if somebody said that while me walking by, it's a wrap.
And somebody walked by, he was like, "Excuse me, fat ass, my bad." That's kind of crazy.
I would. Oh my god, what do I think I'd do? It would all depend on what kind of
everything you just said.
I was having.
Everything you just said, I had to run through in my brain in that moment.
I don't know if I'm snatching by the hair, if I'm crying.
I can't do none of that.
If I'm leaving.
I'm too big already now. She's already
she's
said
a little
that.
Girl. Yeah.
And so my man went to go talk to her.
You didn't say nothing. Shout out to your man. He went and said something to her like that was rude? Good for him.
He went to go holler at her.
Oh.
Which I thought was cool too, right? I was fine with that. I wasn't mad about that whole thing because at that point, I looked at her and was like, 90 Day Fiance. Like, this makes sense, right? Like, I understand this.
She's out here on recruitment.
It's like the Filipino girl that was dating the one white dude that he brought her over. And I was like, the way she be talking to him is kind of crazy. So it's like, but I get it. Like, I can't think of his name, man. But he used to wear all the gold chains and shit on 90 Day Fiance about 4 or 5 seasons ago. My point in all that is that when he went to go talk to her, she was like, oh, yeah, we're 22. And I was like, God damn. I was like, yo, like, you just learned how to wipe your ass, like, legitimately. Like I don't...
We just potty trained you. Yeah. Good Lord. And you still need help wiping yourself when you go boo-boo.
We just potty trained you. It's crazy. Like, yeah, you just started
and we still got the plastic on the sheets.
And, like, I wasn't even trying to make, like, an Indian joke, but I was like, yo, like, you just, like, started using deodorant. You know what I mean? But, like, that wasn't, like, an Indian joke, though. I'm just saying, like young kid.
Puberty joke.
Yeah, it was a puberty joke. Like, you just found out that you started stinking after a while. So, and I was just like, all right, that's cool. Like, the age is... But then she kept staring at me. And I was like, I don't know...
Y'all had beef. So what happened? You knocked
into her? But it wasn't an anger thing. No, she was sitting at the table and I just scooted by. I never touched her or anything. She just saw that it was a small space. I was trying to squeeze her. It was like, oh, because you're fat. But I think that was her... Because then my wife was like, well, big dudes, like y'all be getting a lot of love now. Maybe that was her way of flirting with you, too. And I was like, well, shit, maybe. I don't know. It's a terrible way. So if you guys know any foreign people, tell them don't go around doing shit like that. Let me just tell you that now. I say all that to say that it's been cool, right? It's been I got stories for y'all.
She was trying to say, you thick, daddy.
Yeah.
But all she could say was,
I don't even want her calling me daddy because she's almost young enough to be a daughter of mine.
And your boy was trying to get at her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, we didn't know the age at the time.
Oh, okay. So
that's why I'm saying they look young until he went and talked to her. Like, they're still in school.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't do that, bro. Like, let that go. Like she's like the age of some of the kids that I like. I think about that because I work with kids and teens and shit like that. I've worked with teens that are now like in their 20s now, like 25, 26. Like, I feel weird.
Yeah. I had a moment when I was like in my late 20s and I had like hooked up with a guy in his early 20s and I think I was like 27 and I think he was like maybe 22. He was a sailor. I met him downtown. Maybe I'm telling too much now. Anyways.
Just sound like...
but I don't know. I was just kind of like, yeah, that's the end of that rope. You just start after a certain while. It just feels because like when you work with young people, young age people, it's like I think you're always trying to be really respectful of that boundary. And so it's like, if I'm working with people your age, especially like if, or, you know, or younger, but close to your age, and it's like in mentorship or protection or resources or education or coaching or whatever, that means that like I really need to be someone who knows how to maintain strong boundaries with people and young people or in a proximity. And so therefore I want to just make sure that I'm always kind of honoring that, you know, across the board.
Let me ask you this. So like my prerequisites, like me and my wife played this game of like, if you had to go back out into the game,
okay,
what do you need? My girl's got to have like a girl that I would go after. She got to have a little bit of cellulite.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to have, and you got to have stretch marks. Like you got, I need you to be battle tested, right? So that's where the age thing comes into play for me.
Yeah, you've been through some things. You got some scars of life, some experience on your body.
Like you went through something at some point. Oh, what is that?
I don't know. Was that me? Did I hit something?
Me. I hit something.
Oh man.
And we're back. But yeah, you just got to be. So what is your thing for a man then?
What, the must?
No.
What?
The must is crazy. The must is crazy.
Like the mustache.
Oh, you mean like a mustache?
Yeah, no, like must-haves.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
must?
goddamn, you gotta stink a little.
Not the must. You know what I realize is sometimes I've learned with people I talk in shorthand, and I'm like, oh, I need to finish my sentences or my thoughts.
Why the fuck did you say this now and you didn't say that earlier when I didn't know? It's like you was getting pissed off at me and everything. I was like, yo, I swear to God, like she was not clear on that
maybe
shit.
Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, she was in there like, no, motherfucker, let me read these to you real quick. I said, God damn, but you didn't finish that. You know how you like, you know what I mean, boy? Like, did you just hit me with a you know what I mean, boy, right now? That's crazy.
I was like, I did.
Yeah, that shit.
I think
You
I
did.
did.
Yeah, you
I
did.
did.
I know, I was here. I was fucking there for it. That shit was funny as hell. I was like, I'm gonna let her get this shit off real quick.
I was like, you know what we went through before we recorded? That's like a brother-sister moment.
Yeah.
That's like, besides like Alonzo, like that's like
That
the
shit was funny. They
closest.
said you killed him last week.
That's one of the closest things you're gonna have to like ever having like a sister, a big sister.
They said you killed his ass last week.
Were they mad at me?
He said that one of his coworkers pulled his headphone. I was like, the way he said it was like he was a little Elon Musky. You know, he was like, why you let her talk to you like that? And then he put it back on and sat down like he was he was just soft.
He ain't
soft
shit.
body.
He's not. He's growth driven and he's open to. He has a matter of fact in his own point, and that's for sure. Obviously, you know. But I think that he's receptive, and I respect that. So all y'all giving him a hard time, y'all can take a page off his book, because that's giving real big DE according to the ladies. Okay?
My time is coming is what he just said. He's like, my time is coming. So I say must-haves. Did we go over the must-haves real quick?
Mine?
Yes.
Wait, what were yours again?
For an aged man, right? Because like I'm telling you this about the young girls, and I was like, yo, you ain't battle testing. You got no stretch marks. No cellulite or nothing like that. Your arm don't hang, you know, when you go like this. I need you to have a little something.
Yeah.
So what is your up your alley for that as a dude?
Yeah, like that. I love a salt and pepper.
Do you really?
Oh yeah.
What about no facial hair?
Oh no.
Like a little peach fuzz mustache.
Oh no. I need a man, baby. If I wanted no facial hair, I'd go with a woman.
Oh my God.
I'm like, if I want like something pretty,
that's funny.
If I want something pretty, I'll go with a woman.
Oh, do you know, or like the young in the face, like what if you feel like you didn't like fit your body yet, like a puppy? You know how you look at it. I was telling this to my cousin earlier. You know, like the German shepherds, they be having big ass paws, but they ain't growing to their body yet.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, you still got room to grow.
Yeah.
If they don't look like they grew into their body yet, that's not enough. Like
no.
And they be like 25, 24, but just hasn't fully grown in.
Yeah, no, I would rather I would rather take I'll take a senior citizen. Like I'll take you know
like
what?
A George Clooney.
Like you walk with the king.
Oh, young George.
I got you.
What?
Like if you're saying like you're willing to take if you're saying like
God.
I'm willing to take stretch marks and hanging arms, I'm like, okay, if my guy's not gonna be like the guy of my dreams, then I take an oldie over someone young.
What if you had to do so now? Maybe there was a point in time, right? But what about now? What about a guy with like an 8-pack?
Would I date him?
Yes,
I would. Lord forgive me.
But
pour chocolate sauce and caramel sauce and whipped cream. 1 banana, 3 scoops of ice cream, Rocky Road, strawberry, and maybe mint chip.
Like now I look at buff chicks.
And get a spoon.
And I'm like, yo, she just be in the gym
and
every day. And
get a spoon.
She's like, look, I'm trying to tell you, that shit sound fun until he in the gym
and then throw
9
the
days
spoon.
a week. He be in there. That's it. Yeah, I know what you got. You let him use your car and shit.
You know what?
Real young dude.
Why? Why you gotta be young? No, I'm picturing like Unk. You know Unk in the gym who's like super buff and got the 6-pack, the 8-pack, and the big arms.
He wear big ass. He wear the same size shorts Lex be wearing.
And he's bald. I don't care. Like
big shorts and a tank top.
We got that's shoot.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so I tried to lighten the mood as much as I can. Jay, how you been?
Jay, how are you gonna try it?
I did a good job.
I didn't realize you were doing that.
Yeah, for 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm the best. Wow. I'm the best, man.
The best producer there is.
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
I'm trying to tell y'all, this is the guy.
I'm trying to be. They had no idea that we was getting here.
They don't. And the thing is, like, people think that potting is just like talking. And maybe for some pods it is, but like there's an art to potting and there's an art to conversation, there's an art to build up, there's an art to even transgressions. And Karl, because he's done it so long and has so much experience, he is like, if you've ever watched the Real World or Survivor or anybody, the producers behind the scenes that are still like, pulling the strings and like leading the conversation and the storyline along so that the viewers can understand what's happening, or even sometimes creating like stories, not stories out of stories, but adding flavor, and that's what like Karl does. So it's pretty cool. But sometimes, I don't realize he's doing it to me.
Yeah. Well, shit, you did it to me when you came in. He's like, we're going to have pre-production
today. I did.
Like, look at her learning new tricks.
We need a little pre-production.
I'm going to try this on you real quick before you press record. Big fella.
Yeah, because
Big fella. I'm about to make all those jokes all today. Fuck that girl, man.
Man, I don't understand. You're like, okay, I was just telling my girl this the other day. I was like, you're not even fat. I was like, us fats, like, you're mid.
Yeah, but I think like that mid. She hit me with that. I don't know why I want the Indian body type now. Like, what she... you watch the street vendors on Instagram.
I know, in the white button-up t-shirt.
I want skinny arms like that now.
Nobody wants somebody who looks like that.
I know.
Just like
just internalize that. I don't get fucking catcalled in that fashion daily.
I know that's man. Hey, that's messed up. Man. But just like you were saying, you want a woman who looks like she's been through a life, and literally, I was like, I would rather in our own different ways. We were saying the same thing because I was like, I'd rather an old man, which obviously means an old person has been through life.
Right.
Like it's the same thing. So a man within your age and hopefully of your caliber wants a woman of certain experience. I'm saying the same thing. As women, we want somebody of a certain experience.
My stock has dropped too, though. Like, y'all be thinking like y'all stock dropped, but my stock has dropped.
How?
I got kids now, so it's like I am in the realm of like what you and Lex have been talking about, like in terms of like going out and shit, where it's like if even if me and my wife wanted a date night, not even on some like going out with some other chick type shit. If me and my wife wanted a date night, we gotta plan that. There is no spontaneous, right? So like if me and her were not together, like off the block, like I'm already a hassle.
Yeah. No.
Like my days free is Friday shit, it might just be Friday because I'm gonna go play golf and I'm not going anywhere after that.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, besides healing, it's like I'm an undateable person, it feels like. That's why it's one extreme or the other. It's like I'm being a hoe, but I can't date.
But you're funner though, like, you know what I mean? Like you like to go out and do things and events and shit. I feel like you just, fuck it, let's go. Fuck it, let's go. We're gonna go.
But that's because but that spontaneous, that comes off of me suddenly having like someone to watch my kids. And so because whatever the stars align and it's like, oh, it works out that I'm free for this moment or this event or this time, I will seek, or I already know something that's going on. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. Shit, I got 5 hours. Let's do this.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Because it's so far in between. I'm like, shh, come on.
Yeah, even the time limit is crazy when I think about it in that fashion. So
yeah, and overnight, sheesh, 24 hours to myself.
I'm not sleeping in nobody's house either, though.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I just can't. That ain't gonna work for me.
It's uncomfortable.
Anyway, Jay, so how you been, though?
Damn, we sidestepped it for a few more minutes. I don't want to.
If you don't want to, I go ahead and hit the hand clap.
I do. Lord, what do you mean? We done did all this. I've been praying on this for months.
There you go.
You know what? I tried to use this reference to Karl earlier, but he didn't get it. So he's not an OG Disney Lion King fan. But I was on my way here and I was thinking of that scene. Maybe this is the neurodivergent in my mind. I was thinking of that scene where, you know, Simba goes to find, like, Rafiki and Simba reconnect after Simba had, like, you know, left the jungle for a long time. Really thought she was getting
off a Street Fighter bar.
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, when that scene where he sees him at the river and he brings him back to his little cave or whatever. And then Rafiki, he goes, it is time, right? And that is like and for me, like, it's like discernment, like, you know, to me, it's like the voice from God, like the Holy Spirit, you know, spiritually. And then because I am theatrical, my mind turns to like thinking of the Rafiki. But that is like the sentiment of when I feel like it is time. And like we talked about earlier, like I've hinted at different things. Like if you are someone close to me, I may have disclosed more, or if you follow me on social media, you may have caught in little hints of different things. But for me, it's like really time to like talk about why, you know, my marriage ended, the circumstances that I'm navigating right now, and yeah, and just kind of dive into it. I was telling Karl, I was like, you know, I mentioned like however many months ago that on the pod that like randomly that I was like, I think my husband's cheating on me, and then like we never talked about it again because I never wanted to talk about it again.
Hell of a cliffhanger.
Like, so,
just saying.
You know, like if you happen to catch that, like we're about to talk about that. So for me, like that's what I told Karl. Like I really wanted to be able to first, like, just disclose to Karl a little bit more. And I guess Karl said, like, I have been telling him things like subtly over the last month where he's kind of gathered, and maybe it wasn't as big of a reveal to Karl as I thought. But I did still want to, like, talk with him on through, you know, just to have this conversation. And so, yeah. I guess I need a little interrogation probing.
You want
I do, because I need to be led a little bit. So that's a great story. Thank you. That's a great story. I need a little courage push. Confession, like true story is that like my husband actually left me. Like he technically in that moment and during that period of time, like abandoned us. It had gotten to a point where the relationship was so abusive, mentally, emotionally, verbally, physically, financially, that I was just like, literally, and I'm not exaggerating, I would be in my closet. Again, my OG followers know my closet is like my little, I have like, that's my only space to myself when I have 3 kids, a husband, a service animal.
On when she got the shrine of them in there.
That's like,
no, I know.
That's why I go get my bars off.
Yeah.
It's either in the car with the annoying ass alarm beeping in the background, beep, beep, beep.
That shit crazy.
Or it's in the walk-in closet full of all the clothes where I'm like, you know.
Is there a chair in there?
No, I just be laying on the floor.
That's crazy.
On a pillow, I sit.
Sounds relaxing.
Sometimes I stand.
I don't think I'm laying on my closet, though. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that I gotta try it. Like, I actually want to lay in my closet.
Oh, you got to.
Feels like a sensory whatever whatever the word is. Sensory
okay.
tank. Yeah.
And so, like, I'm neurodivergent, and I always talk to you about my sensory issues, right? I was just telling you about my T-shirt I had to change.
You'd up the level if you put a sound machine in there, though.
Dude.
White noise.
Oh, every night me and my kids go to sleep with white noise.
Yeah, but
every
in the
night.
Closet, close it, light off. I need one of those.
Yeah, I've done that.
Hear shit.
Yeah, I've had to do that where, like,
I haven't done that.
I'm about to, like...
I need to get still like that.
You have to. It's called grounding.
I was meditating for a while about 4 or 5 years ago, and I need that.
Oh.
Right when you said that, my body was like, nah, do it.
But I have to be careful. Sometimes I would go to the closet and disassociate. So you gotta, like, No,
I would only do it. I probably got like 5 minutes in me.
It is a muscle you have to build. And it's easier to get into it if you do
take
like
electronics with you?
Bleds. In the closet? Yeah, I'm telling you, that was like one of my spots where I would get all my bars off.
Have you done it with no electronics?
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Okay, imagine, men have like a man cave. You do everything in your man cave, right? You hang out in your man cave, you sleep in your man cave, you whatever you want. That's your little space, your domain.
I'm trying to get there. I ain't that rich yet. I don't have a man cave.
And me neither. And I didn't even have my own bedroom. That's why I would go into the walk-in closet.
That makes sense.
And I'm getting, I do my stories. How am I going to get a moment of peace?
That's a good point.
So I'd be going in the closet, talking my talk, doing my dizzle.
There we go. and he took. So you said he left.
Okay. So the reason why I was in the closet is because I would literally be begging on my hands and knees for this man to leave me. And it was so bizarre because, like, when he left, it was so heartbreaking at first. And I was so, like, angry and hurt and felt abandoned. But then, like, I had this moment of clarity a few weeks in where have you ever, like, had an answered prayer but forgot that you prayed for it? Has that ever happened to you? Or, like, have you ever been in a situation...
I've asked for things and then they came up and I was like...
That's an answer.
Shit, not right now.
Yes. Or, like, you realize you're in a situation or a circumstance and you're like, oh, I used to pray for this. Like, this is an answered prayer. Like, so for me...
But you're happy about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, but you... In retrospect, like you said, maybe it wasn't right now, or maybe it was painful.
Okay.
But it's like this was what was needed. Like you're like, oh, I needed this to happen. I wanted this to happen.
Turning 21 to get to bars was where I was like, yo, I needed this. No. House parties would get terrible reference.
Yeah. So like for me, it was just like I knew that like I was in a position and financially, mentally, emotionally where. Even though I knew I needed to leave my husband, I couldn't. And I would beg for God to remove this man from my life. And language is so powerful because I would not say, like, God, give me the strength to leave him. God, help me leave. God, get me out of this. It was always, I remember the prayer, remove this man from my life. Get this man out of my life. Get rid of this man. And literally... my husband, like, secretly moved out, like, weeks at a time. And, like, a month later after, I knew immediately he stopped coming home. He was slowly taking things out of the house. And I was like, and we were, Why
didn't you ask anything?
I did. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We were cheating. He was cheating. Not we.
Okay, I was like, wait.
I never cheated on my husband. God is my witness. He was cheating, he cheated throughout our whole marriage, but it was on full. He was in active cheat mode.
Right.
The relationship was abusive. We were saying we were gonna split up, but he never was like, I'm moving out. I was like, hey, he was like, I'm sleeping at my friend's house. I'm working late. I'm just going to sleep in my car. And I'm like, you're like, what do you mean? I knew, here's the other side of that. My friend was dating his really good friend. And so I had an inside track and I knew his really good friend that he was spending most of his time with had just gotten a new apartment and needed a roommate. The timing was impeccable. So I was like, you're going to sit here and tell me that you didn't move out, dog, when I know your bestie is looking for a roommate. You spend all your time with him and your stuff is slowly missing and you never come home every night.
Right.
Like, you know, what the hell?
So was he paying rent there?
He was.
Segue. I got you.
He was.
Okay.
Exactly. And so, yeah. And so that was the end. Like, you know, the official end. But there was so much that led up to that kind of moment. But that's what it was, just the timing where, like, we both were in the relationship because we knew that if we broke up, we would essentially become homeless again. Because we were so codependent financially. Like, we were just barely scraping a by together, pulling from him working, you know, different jobs, me doing different side hustles, me getting different resources. We just could pull enough together collectively to cover the basics.
Right.
And anytime a financial emergency came up, it just put us in a bad position further and further.
So I imagine it had to be hard with him leaving then.
Well, yeah, it left me fucked. Because I literally, like, and that was, you don't understand. I would scream, like, you literally left me and your kids homeless. Like, that's wild, dog. Like, and I don't want to be boo-hooing up in here. Let me take a breath.
Take your time. Did I just hit you with a deacon? Take your time.
Amen.
No, I just
Sure,
gave you
take your
the
time,
old-
sis. Take your time. Because I'm like, oh, I just got mad. I thought triggered. In that moment, I was so full of rage and hurt because I'm like, everything we've been through, everything I've done for you, for us, for our marriage, and not in like I've done for you, like holding it over you, like everything I've done for you, like as a wife should, or like maybe not should, you know, like, and for you to just leave me and your children in this position, which you know is our biggest fear and we've already been through, was devastating.
Right.
And it's like, and you know I don't have family support like that. You know, like, you know everything about me.
Right.
So you know exactly what that does. And the thing is, before that, I kept asking, I had that women, like, that intuition, like, and I was begging him, I swear to God, Karl, for like months before, like, please just, and I think that's when I started talking to you about, like, hey, because if you remember, I was kind of talking about this months ago.
Right.
Like, hey, do you know any resources?
But also for it to make sense too, a lot of people don't know is that this.
Where were we at?
We were at. There was so much stuff going on in regards to the relationship. He left you hanging.
Oh, and I was asking you like months ago
Right.
about the resources. Like, hey, I'm worried I might end up in a position where I'm homeless again. Do you know of any resources? You know, I think I started kind of hinting at that. And so, yeah, I was just, I lost my train of thought, Karl. Sorry.
Yeah, you were talking about the resources and everything. And you were just now asking me about resources. And
because, yes, I'm so sorry. Because the abandonment and how, like, it just fucked me. And so I had the feeling, like, months before, like, please, if you're going to move out, because that's how I always had the fear that he would just leave me and never come back one day. Because one, he used to just leave throughout a relationship and not come home for the night. And that's how he left his ex-wife. He told me, like, their breakup story is one day he caught her cheating on him. Who knows if that's the truth? But apparently he caught her cheating on him and he left and he walked out. He never went back. And so I always had that fear of him doing that to me. And so as it was getting really escalated and rocky towards the last few months, like, that would be like after, like, it was always rough. But I would say the worst of it came like the end of summer or fall. Leading into the winter, which is when we broke up in November. And I was like, if you're planning on leaving, if you're going to move out, just tell me, like, please do not fuck me. Like, that's literally how I would always say it. Please don't screw me over. Like,
would
please.
you have accepted though if he just told you like, yeah, I'm gonna go, or would you have tried to fight for him to stay?
You know, at that point, I was so ready for it to end. It was just like, I was like, where I have nowhere else to go. I don't want to be homeless with my children. That that's why, because I was like, the thing is the process of going through like shelters and getting resources, it takes months.
Yeah.
Because you're going into, people think.
I hate that though. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, fam, like, I need help today.
Yeah.
You got me out here talking about let's have an appointment next week.
Exactly.
Like, I need some
and
shit
it's an
today.
appointment after appointment. Like when you become homeless, you have to get a what's called a homeless provider, which is one of the main Alpha Project. There's the Jewish, like there's all kinds of different Jewish Foundation. There's all kinds of different South Bay Community Services. There's all kinds of different organizations that are considered homeless providers.
Yes.
So when you call them up and you say and you're a self-referral, I'm experiencing homelessness, then you get on just a wait list to be contacted by what's called an intake person. So that can take weeks, months, days. It's normally the weeks. They call you. They're like, hey, I'm the intake person. Tell me your situation. Based off of your circumstance, you get kind of put on this different rank of need, and based off of how long your wait time is. So first it goes by wait, but if you become what's called priority, you have kids, there's domestic violence, there's special need, like there's different things, then you might get to skip ahead somebody who has been waiting a little bit longer.
That's crazy.
And so it's all a numbers game.
But crazy.
And it's also space. So beds, shelters, caseworkers, caseloads, right? Funding. It's, as those things fluctuate, that also comes into play. So, now you've told somebody your sob story and they're like, all right, well, a case manager will get to you. But the issue is you can't access any resources until you're actually assigned to a caseworker. And then the caseworker, once you're assigned to them and you've been adapted into the program because you're qualified and now there's space and resources for you, then based off of what you say your needs are in their program, then they can start saying, okay, here's a gas card, here's a voucher for a hotel, here's transitional living, here's food or whatever, and so but it's a long wait game. It can be a few months.
Right.
And so and I know this because I've been homeless before. I know this because others bomb besides me saying, I was in an abusive relationship. If you didn't catch that, like why I really left my husband he abandoned me. But why our relationship fell apart was because it was an abusive marriage, which led me into being unhoused again. In political correct terms, that means I'm homeless. Wow. And so it's been really hard for me to... Another moment. I don't need to be a crybaby all the time. It's been hard for me to disclose that information publicly because, I carry just a lot of personal shame and embarrassment and frustration with the situation in general. The fact that it's not my first go round, this is my first rodeo, and this being in the circumstance, and because of the level of loud critiques and judgment I got last time. I'm a retired, sometimes retired, like oversharer, crash out, ultimate vlogger, would tell all her business. Like, we've talked about this. I cringe. I've gotten better. And that's also why I held this. It's been almost 6 months. Like, I really wanted to make sure that I prayed on this. I was ready. I wasn't trauma dumping, and that I had a support system and had enough, mental and emotional strength to be like, I'm ready to take this on. Because last time I experienced homelessness, I don't know, I was so delusional. I don't I would just share all my business and not think twice about it. I took down all those YouTube videos when we started the podcast, and me and my daughter had a big talk about that because I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm hiding the fact that I was homeless, but I was like, this is a really confusing messaging because you're literally seeing videos of me homeless, living in a tent. I'm giving like homeless tutorials. Like dead ass. Even my tone of voice, I'm like, this is my go bag. I'm like, bitch, what are you like? But then I had my raw videos where like I'm crying in the tent and there's bruises on my arm, and there's a bunch of comments on that YouTube video was like, look at like I told you viewers see everything.
there was like, when you have like a handprint and it leaves bruises, and a viewer was like, look at, she's homeless, and she cares, and clearly she's getting abused. Look at her arm, and she's pregnant with twins, and clearly she cares more about her dog than those babies, because then why would she be getting her ass beat and living in a tent, And so, like, from a far away, like, YouTube stranger to, like, one of my best friend's moms, like, having a serious heart-to-heart with me, being well-intended, but again, intentions can be harmful, and telling me, like, how I should really give up my children for adoption. Another really good friend of mine offering to be out of nowhere, offering to be a foster care, like, offering to be, like, to help me navigate through foster care. And again, it's like, I get it. Like, you see the circumstance, you're trying to problem solve, but you're also suggesting I give up my babies. Like, and that's kind of wild. Like, considering you don't know my life, my circumstance, or whatever. Like, and so anyways, with just knowing that, like, everything that came with living life homeless so publicly last time. Like, I was at a barbecue last summer and I saw a cousin who I hadn't seen in a long time, who struggles with their own mental health, and said to me, like, Justenia, I love you, like, but I gotta admit, I lost a little respect for you. Like, I thought you were stronger than that. Like, I'm a little disappointed that you ended up.
How did you receive that?
I was really taken back, especially because I'm like, dog, like, you tried to take your life last summer. Like,
oh, shit.
we all be going through things. Like, I would never judge you. But honestly, he said, on God, he said what I feel or have had people say suggestively or given off the vibe, or people who have just, like, cut me off, like. Another good friend of mine whose mom I had a great relationship with just did not mess with me after, like, I experienced homelessness. And I don't know exactly why. Maybe it wasn't that. But we were great before I was homeless and after, and so that is why, like, it's so hard for me to talk about these things. And I was telling you earlier, like, for me, like, I literally talk about abuse all the time. I literally talk about domestic violence. I've worked for domestic violence agencies. I've coached so many women and counseled them out of domestic violence relationships, like, because I've been able to name it for people. When I worked at Helix, one of my coworkers was a little bit younger than me. She was describing how her boyfriend would lock her in the apartment, how would hold her phone from her, held a gun to her, would threaten to kill himself if she would leave. And she had I grew up in a domestic violence household. She didn't.
Right.
Her mother worked with us at the school as well, and came from a good family. And so I was like, girl, you're in an abusive relationship. Like, and just naming it for her, and then talking to her about, ways to be safe and this, and encouraging her to talk to her family. And eventually she broke up with him. And I'll never forget, one day I was walking through the hall. I'd never worked with her mom. We just never crossed paths, but she just happened to see me. I happened to be walking past her classroom. She called me in and she was like, started crying, and she was like, I just want to thank you for, like, saving my daughter's life. And I was like, she was like, we have noticed a change in her and for months, and we were trying to get through to her, and we couldn't, but we didn't exactly know what was going on because she wouldn't tell anybody, and so that's like, and that part right there, she wouldn't tell anybody. Like, there was only 3 people who actually knew that I was, like, in an abusive relationship. My mom and my sister, from when I put a restraining order against my husband not long after I had my twins, and my best friend Morgan, and who knew about the continued abuse once we got back together after I had the twins. Even when I disclosed it to my grandmother, she was shocked. She was like, I'm not going to say his name, but she was like, da-da-da-da? No way, and I'm like, but how can I not believe her? Like, even on this pod, I've glamorized my husband. I've talked about the great things he's taught me. You can hear his sway and his opinion in some of the things I say. So I can understand why it's a shock, but it's an accumulation of like the shame, the embarrassment, how it led to the homelessness, the hypocrisy of being like an advocate for women and like always advocating, like speaking up against silence and abuse, and then living this life 5 years of like really experiencing severe abuse, and like I know everybody wants to be like, people want to know like, what does that mean? Like, did he punch you in the face? Did he like slap you across the face? Like, people want to know. They're like, because they're like, oh, if you just got pushed around or you just got yelled at, like that's not abuse. It's like people want to hear like the gory stories, and it's like, first of all abuse, whether it's physical or not, is abuse. There's not levels, and there's not like, oh, I got my ass beat, so I'm more abused than the girl who just always got cussed out every night. With that being said, like, yes, I did experience like severe levels of physical abuse. Yes, I've been punched. Yes, I've been strangled. Yes, I've been kicked. Yes, I've been spit on. Yes, like I've experienced those things. And for me, because like I'm not a shocker, I'm not a sit down and take it kind of girl, but I'm also like little. Like, I'm not going to let you sock me and just be like, okay, I'm trying to run back and get my lick in, but I'm so little, I'm getting fucking tober kicked. Like, but I'm on rage. So like, that's how it escalates, and that's how it gets so dangerous. And it literally got to the point I told Karl that it was like, there were 3 incidents that happened. One, he got involved with my business, and I realized like he would never let me be successful. I would never achieve the level of success that God whispers in my ear that I'll have one day with him by my side. 2, we had a very, very bad abusive episode where I was like, this can never happen again. And 3, I was like, the next time you put your hands on me, motherfucker, you better kill me. Because if you don't kill me, I might kill you. And that's where, and I was literally telling him that, like, because he would, I knew it, like, you could see it. And I'd be like, if you're going to go there, if that's where you're going to go, you better do everything you can, because I can't do this. Like, and so that's when I was like, okay, like, when you were like, would you fight for him? Like, did you want to fight for him when he left you? It's like, nah.
But the other question I have for you was, and this is hindsight now,
yes,
right? And I told you to hold on to it, was, do you feel like back then you deserved better, but you were hoping for something different? And now, could you see yourself having the same circumstances, and what would you do different? And if you guys can hear, obviously the tonality of how she was speaking, obviously anytime somebody's getting their shit off and you ask a question such as that, where we're looking forward and we're not fully addressing the now, why she flamed my ass up earlier. So, but my point in asking that was because on a listen, someone's going to think that, but not say it in the way that I said it. Yeah. And it's going to come out a different way. Yeah. So it's like, I was like, let me get that question answered for somebody who may have that. Yeah. Just, and even for your journey on where you're at today.
No, that was like, you talk about going from failing to an A student. The way you did that was so respectful and thoughtful and ease, and I appreciate that. For me, like, in those moments, I don't know, honestly, if I felt like I deserved more. Like, I'm thinking, like, one, I was conditioned. My husband would, like, tell me, like, look at, like, where are your friends, where are your family, like, no one's around you, no one loves you. Like,
which was true, I guess, at the time, right?
Exactly, right? Like, you're unlovable. And for me, because of all the instability, my mental health, the recovery, like, one of the biggest things I struggle with are interpersonal relationships. And when things are hard, and walking away, like, crashing out, going off, spazzing. I mean, like, people see, unless you really know me or you've seen me at my real me, like, I may come off like mature and collective, and like, I'm a fucking real life Like, you know, I was flying off the rails off of everything. Like, let's be real. But I also had a lot of trauma and a lot of personality disorders and not understanding myself and no model of relationships. And so now it's like,
that bar also hits too. Like, had you said, like, not saying that you should have said that, but
yeah,
like somebody had said that once, and I was like, you know what? Fuck, that makes sense. Like my responses or the general public's response of these things are based off of what they see as like a norm.
yeah,
Like, oh, my neighbor's mom and dad were together. My neighbor's mom and dad together. And we had cookouts and shit, and everything was beautiful. We played catch, football in the street, and all that. And it's like, not every block is like that.
yeah.
And so, like, what you're alluding to, and Alonzo likes to allude to too, is like my life experiences. My life experiences, I've gone through those things, not in my own personal family, but I've seen other people. Excuse me, but I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
And based on how I was raised, my mom don't take no shit.
Yeah.
Neither did my grandma. So I've seen my grandmother be a single woman, leave her, my grandfather, which was her ex-husband, my grandfather remarried and everything. But then, like, I've seen my mom stand up to my dad. I've seen her like, look, motherfucker, you blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, so I'm used to that, like seeing someone advocate. But it's like, if you've never been taught how can I blame you if you haven't? So like we get locked in the world that we live in right now because it's like, well, why would they let that happen? Yeah, but you saying that from like a rational, sound mind of experiencing that or being around somebody that has that.
Yeah.
Usually speaking, right? I have noticed, and it's fucked up because I hate that they have to carry this burden. I've seen black women overcome a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the ones that I see that, and obviously there's some that, that slip through the cracks in all women that go through some things. But it's like, I just feel like the strong black woman was a thing in the 90s and early 2000s when I was growing up with don't take no shit. So much so that I think that it like also scared them away from like having lasting relationships with new gentlemen and such. Right, because they keep up the persona, or there's a stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
And so like what I'm saying is like you don't win from losing from both, because it's like, imagine if you took on a strong personality, fuck all man or whatever, that limits your dating pool.
Right.
Right. And imagine if you continue to allow something to happen now, and for a lack of a better term, you may look weak or feeble.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you can't win from losing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, yo, like when we have somebody that has an opportunity to want to be vulnerable and tell their story and shit like that, we have to be mindful on how we respond. My thing is too, is that like, and this is what I was alluding to last week and a couple of weeks before, is that I don't think our fan base is going to, blame you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in retrospect, even if you had information on, how your husband was, in previous relationships and such, if he had given you no indication, like very early on before you making decisions or not.
Bro, we literally had that conversation. Like, I told him everything about like my household, the abuse I experienced and witnessed, and how, and was like, have you ever done this? And he, no. Like, and then, but I will say, his ex-wife did reach out to me after we were
but
already.
It sounds like hate coming from her.
And he told me like, she's just a hater. She's gonna, we have twins.
You don't know the difference.
But when I look back on everything she told me, I was like, oh, he really became like. I remember when she described that man, I was like, that's like a monster, like that. There's no way. And when I read back those messages, I'm like, oh damn. Check.
Yeah, but and that's what I'm saying though. Like, yeah, should you have known better because of the heads up? Yes, but like the message and the messenger wouldn't be received the right way, right?
Exactly.
In those circumstances, like, yo, like if my wife's ex dude like has some reserved comments or whatever, he may say something like, I probably experienced that. But then on the other end, just knowing that like him being on the other side and the circumstances, I'm like, yo, bro, like you hating right now.
Exactly.
So it's like I don't see I get what you're saying, and that's why I was trying to encourage you, not necessarily fix, but encourage you to say, look, tell your story shamelessly.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we all live in a glass house, and that's where we had kind of insert my anger and frustration last week, right? Because it's like, yo, like there's a gentleman out here that I went to high school with. He was on one of our pods. I won't say which one it was, 200 episodes or whatever. I really didn't give a fuck for him to be here. I told Jay that when we was off mic when he came. That was, back in some earlier times where other people wanted to have him here that was on this pod. And I was like, cool. But I don't really fuck with him. I didn't fuck with him when we was in school or whatever. I thought bro was always weird. I left that pod. We had a conversation, right? And Jay had told me the story, and I was like, yo, this story is weird. But then she proceeds to tell me, and this is how it relates, that this gentleman was supposed to be helping her and her family in regards to their living situation and offering housing in exchange for work. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, like, after we got off the pod, all right, let me continue to hear more of the story. For some reason, he didn't like the circumstances that Jay had brought up on, like, in regards to, like, the housing situation and living there. I think these questions, some of the questions, either one should have been on an application, or two, some of the questions should have never been asked at all because you don't get a chance to dictate that. That's not how the law and how business works. And
then the work that was done.
Right. And then the work that is done. I'm just highlighting this real quick, and then I'll let you go into detail.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
But it was brought up like when the circumstances didn't see fit to this person. Well, why don't we get Karl and another gentleman who we had on this pod who I don't know.
Yeah, and let's not name.
Like, help you all out. Right, I'm not. Yeah. Right? Like let's have him, them help you out. And I'll say, hold, pause. One, Jay's already hit me, right? And I told her, right, what the situation was, at least, and what I could do, but then also if I could support and vet certain things out for her, yes. Right? If I had to, and I told Jay this, several times. If I had the space, to put you up somewhere, like with us, without it, affecting like things that are critical for, my wife and my family, I would. Right?
Yeah. And that's the other thing. It's like...
But you would ask.
And it's like, exactly. And I wouldn't, because I know your situation and I know this. Like, there's also a certain level of boundary. The only reason why I went to that person is because they put out an ad saying they had a need to fill this space exchange for work. I'm like, oh, that's perfect, because I got an extensive skill set. You mean
that's right up his alley.
You mean like, where in San Diego can I exchange? Can I bypass all the red tape, which is what's the credit score, the however many pay stubs you need, the whatever. I can bypass all the red tape and also exchange my time for my rent. And it seemed like, so that's why I was like, I only involved you in this situation because this is supposed to be your line of work and you actually had a listing. Just like I'm not gonna. So why would I go to Karl and this other person? They don't know that part yet.
I did say that. No, go ahead.
Because like, why would I, like, to me it was such a exchange of like putting it off on you guys that it was like you guys had nothing to do with it, and the only reason why you have something to do with it because this is your line of work and you put out an ad and I was responding to that ad. It wasn't as even if I seeked him, like, hey, which, could have been. It wasn't even like I was like, hey, I know that that you offer this. Like, do you have an opening? And it was like, no, you had an opening. I told you, what it was. You told me that this could work out. You continue to dance around it. And then when the day comes of, I'm SOL. And it's reminding me exactly of a incident that happened a few months ago that my dumbass, involved myself in. And it's spooky similar. Right. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
No, you're good. And insert like my feelings in regards to like, yo, like after that person invited me that, I hit him up. And I'm not like on like some weird shit. I'm not even trying to like press nobody like that. Like I'm 35 years old, but I pressed him.
Yeah, I was like, that nigga Karl. He's like, nah, Karl's a grown ass man.
I mean, there's nothing you can say at that point because I didn't like how that was represented. You know what I mean? And my point was to this person was like, look, man, I ain't talked to you in, now that I'm looking at my phone, 7 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, fam, if you can't tell her no, that why does that involve me right now?
Yeah.
Have that person hit me up directly if that is the case, right?
Yeah.
If you want to offer up my help and all these other things, cool. But also, don't do that. Like, let her do it, right? Like, she came to you, like she said, for these specific things, and I didn't even offer you up. You offered yourself up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't send anybody anywhere near what this motherfucker does, right? And then,
Yeah.
I don't want to name names, even though you
Not
got
yet.
okay
Not
with that.
yet.
But then it's like, yo, I'm sitting there and I'm telling you in your face that you weird. And then through further investigation, we find out that you doing real weirdo stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not we, but Jay has some conversations with some people just trying to seek for answers or whatever, and then kind of enlighten me on it.
Exactly. And the reason why I think that, like, that I want to note on that is that, like, I was, really distraught about
Flip it that way.
Yeah, this way?
No, the other way.
There
Yeah,
we go.
keep going,
Thank
keep
you.
going. There you go,
Sorry.
right there.
My bad. I was really distraught about the whole situation, and it's not the first time I've been in situations like that. And so, like, I was like, you know what? I don't have the capacity. I don't have the energy. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. That's why it took us 2 weeks to talk about it. I went into my depressive episode. I was like, I don't even want to speak about this. I had even told Karl, like, I don't know. I just want to let it go, let God. But the entire time I had an uneasy feeling. And then I kept thinking about this young woman who had this incident and how, the people in the community were upset with me, upset with Karl, upset with the podcast, because I essentially co-signed this person. And I immediately understood why. Because I was like, if I feel the way I feel about what happened, and Karl is literally like, girl, you were being taken advantage of. Karl really was... I had so many feelings and thoughts, and it's so important to have people in your life that can help you name things and walk through it, and I had other friends, like, really being like, this doesn't sound right. Like, what do you mean you're only going to have access to the apartment at night, but and it's going to be open to, staff and the public during the day? So then, like, what are you working for? How are you working to exchange for this $2,500 a month, but you're only going to be able to sleep in it at night? And so I think that, like...
And you're working for it, but the weird part to me is what is the wage of the person that works the job or the position that she's making?
Yeah, I don't know, right?
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then if you break that down over 2 weeks and all this other shit, the price that he had on said apartment, whatever, just didn't make sense.
Oh, well, yeah, and the person behind the scenes who let me know that unit was, marked down for much less. But either way, like, I wanted to leave it alone. I wanted to be like, fuck this guy. I'm a dumbass bitch anyways. It's my fault I'm homeless. Like, I'm in this situation. It was a negotiation. The negotiation fell through. I had a hold up with my service animal. Like, I tried to really take on the accountability. But after talking through it with my close friends, people that had their own experiences with this young man, I had to reach out and figure out, like, what happened that time. And when I reached out, I was connected with someone who was this person's right-hand man. And the way that God works, or the way the just timing works, is almost chilling, because I had such, like, all I can say is discernment and angst and, like, unease about the situation. And then when I spoke to her and she told me her experiences of abuse, harassment, the number of levels, the number of people reaching out to her and letting her know inappropriate interactions, it was just, I was like, oh. When I literally sent her the pod, and I was like, look at how foreshadowing Karl's explanation of this man is, and compared to what you just told me. I was like, Karl literally called him, he's weird, he's predatory. I was like, and it was just so alarming because of the proximity that this man has to vulnerable community members. To the point where, people are concerned to out this man
and because of fear of harassment and fear of retaliation and fear of, whatever could come with it. Like we're literally there. I'm literally having conversations with different people that are, movers in this community, big movers in this community that are doing the real work and really love our community, whether it's like advocacy, social justice, the arts, events, and enough of us that are, like you always say, there's only 5% black. Okay. And there's 1% of us that are creatives. We all know each other. Like, we all have either rubbed elbows, we've either worked on partnerships, we've been on each other's podcasts, we've gone to each other's events, we've heard of each other. Like, we're all in a proximity of one another. So there's been enough of us in enough different organizations, enough different creatives that have had their own experiences with this man that people want to, I guess, expose him would be the only correct word, but there is still a level of fear, which I understand. And that is how this is a beautiful and also tragic example in real time in our little city of San Diego, in this corner of the world, of how predatory behavior works and how people that are in authority and figures of, or, have position of power, like a Diddy, like who's the white guy, the Me Too movement, like, a Weinstein, like all these people, they're like, well, how can they be, a public figure and still be acting this way? It's because people are scared. Because people in power, people that have influence, whatever that means, even in our little corner of the world, like, it means something. And also, like to be said, how we were saying earlier, or how I had that breakthrough moment when you and Zoe were able to explain to me that fear that men have of being falsely accused, because even if they are innocent, the consequences of being falsely accused of doing something wrong still has tremendous effects on your current time, your future, and so that's why there is that apprehensiveness. So we're also considering that. We're not trying to, falsely accuse a black man, and that, like, we take this serious, and it's serious enough to where, like, certain conversations need to be had where it's like, okay, we want to actually name this man, or we want to just at least have these conversations to, bring awareness to the community, and those who know, like, until we get to that point or we don't. But
I don't fuck with him.
and I don't either. And I want to make that clear, because I went on here several times, and Karl is such a gracious man, because he really was like, I'm going to let her learn on her own. Karl was like, I'm going to let you do you, but, and I told Karl, like, look, I don't want this to feel like I'm being like, wishy-washy or unloyal to you.
I'm not going to block somebody's blessing.
And that's the thing.
If that's what was going to transpire.
And that's what, exactly. And Karl was like, nah, if this man's in a position to help you and it feels okay, like, I'm not going to block it. But to sit here and to have me cheers you, to have me sit here and, work your events, or work an event, and to say, and then for me to find out even just the accusations. What did I tell you? I'm always going to believe victims. Yes, I'm going to hear other people out, of course. But my go-to is to believe what people said. And this, literally insider person, right-hand man, was like, I got receipts, I got witnesses. And when she disclosed the experiences she had and the experiences that other people had from dealing with this man, I was like, how dare you use me to fucking co-sign for you? So I don't fuck with him either, or anything he does. And I apologize to anyone who already knew that and was frustrated when I did. Now I know better.
And you know what? I wouldn't say bro's name, but we don't have enough in the in the attorney account.
Not yet. We waiting for that lawsuit to come through.
You know what I mean? Well, you can't, because I ain't said no names. I ain't said no organizations and shit
I'm
like
saying
that.
I need your lawsuit to come through so we have money.
That's a different one. Yeah. But this is the type of dude that would do the same thing. So it's like I Like I
That's why we have to
recognize
be
we
careful.
live in a new era, and I'm soft in that regard because I'm taking my family's well-being over content. So I won't name this person or this gentleman. You know what I mean? But just know you can hit me on the fly. And I'll tell you in the DM. I'll send you the profile too if you want to. I'll show you what he look like.
No, that's for real. That's for real.
I don't care if you've been in movies, you've been on albums with people and all that other shit, which they had, or not movies, but you've been on albums and shit. They've been on albums with prominent artists, not just in San Diego, but just in general.
Yeah,
you give a fuck about none of that. You could be friends with Ice Cube, son, like you have been, and all this other shit because y'all went to school together. I'm cool. You fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
And that don't mean nothing to me because right now, like the way people talking about you in the street, and it's not even just what Jay was talking about. Like my other boy Jay was telling me the same thing, And I told him, I said, look, the problem is that y'all want to play Martin and Malcolm in this community and shit like that. But y'all motherfuckers can't come together. And I told him, I was like, bro, you're part of killing this community. Like all the little shit you doing, even outside of what Jay's saying, just how you handle Jay in general. Like you just going after vulnerable ass people. And Jay, given the story that she's telling you right now, right? I think that like this is where I'm talking about people having grace. The story that she's telling you that she's in a vulnerable position, and this is someone who she thought she can trust, and they tried to misuse her there. So if you want to sit up here and get at her about her husband and all that, well, think about somebody who's in a dire constraint, or dire straits, and they think that, hey, look, I'm about to have this housing opportunity. I'm going to take the bullshit that comes along with all of this or whatever. Because, I need this. I've been in a tent before. I just want a roof over our head, air conditioning, running water, all the small things, and, whatever the small blessings are. Like, if you ain't never been in that position, man, you'll never know.
Yeah.
It's expensive as fuck. There's a lot of y'all out here that's like working 4 or 5 jobs just to scrape up the cash, but realize that she got 3 kids too. So it's like I can't work 4 or 5 jobs like I would as a single parent because I also want to be there for my kids, and I got people advocating that I need to give them up. It's a lose-lose situation.
Right. My son's, I can't just leave him with anyone because he's got special needs, and he'd be eloping. And
people be talking about foster care and all this other shit. Look, man. I'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
I'll save that for another day.
We'll bust their bubble about foster care another day.
Another day, man. But I mean, nobody's gonna take care of their kids better than the parents are. I'll just put it to you like that. I got nothing else.
I mean, I just sat here and like bared my heart and soul, and
I don't want to overshadow that with any other pod topics.
You just want to leave it. Well, I did say this was our 60-60 special. Remember?
Yeah, I'd rather leave it as a standalone episode.
No, I think so.
I'd rather do that. And then if you ever want the references, there's not other bullshit attached to it.
I think that's a great idea, actually. This will be a marker. And honestly, that's when I had and it was
fuck the fans, right? I've been giving them 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Jokingly, right? Let me make sure, I'm joking, right? But yes.
Right. And that's what I meant the other day when Zoe was first here. I really hope that Zoe didn't take it personally, but I was just like, this is a really heavy conversation.
He actually respected you for getting in his ass the other week, too. He was like, yo, shit's entertaining for people. So I was like, all right, he's a good sport about it. And he was like, and
I like him.
He didn't think you were wrong or nothing like that either. He didn't leave out here like she ain't fucking listening.
I was like, I was just, I know that I come off strong, so I was just like, damn, I hope he doesn't think I'm a bitch. But I followed him and he followed me back, so I felt like that was a good sign.
No, he adores you.
We're rocking.
Yeah, he was fully invested in that conversation, and even my aunt checked in. You good? He's like, hey, he tried to save you, but she was just going, and there's nothing wrong with it. It was just that more so like, hey man, and even my wife was like, I kind of agree with her, not knowing she knew the full facts of the story. She's like, because I've been in situations, so there are people that resonate with that. Yeah, and it's a learning opportunity. So
I appreciate him, and I'm gonna enjoy hearing his mansplaining and but for his perspective over the next few weeks.
Absolutely.
And I just really appreciate you giving me the time and the space to conduct this and get this off because it's been weighing heavy on me. And, like, I think the secrecy was, like, making it worse, you know? So I just really
because also, I mean, you got Lex gone.
Yeah.
Right? And
We've been trying to tell y'all we've been going through things.
And then it was like, yo, you gone. And it's like, yo, is Karl being a dick? Right? Like, I'm sure they kept, and he done kicked her off now, too. It was like, nah, these shits is happening simultaneously.
But that is really why, you know, like Karl said, like, don't feel bad. I've been thinking about ending the pod, but it's like, that's why my heart hurts, because I'm like, damn, like, if I was in a different position, if I was in another position of
I don't know, we'd have to have a serious talk, because I'd probably still be where I was at. I'd be like, look, man, I'm not sure. I'm tired. Like, for real.
And I feel that. Like, I feel that from the core of you, which is why you're not getting a lot of resistance from me.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm gonna wait until, you know, the time is absolutely absolute at that point.
But I also, like, and you may call me crazy, I swear, and sometimes, I mean, I used to dream all the time I would have boy-girl twins, and I had them. I really foresee you and I having another podcast and it being fire and, like, taking off. Like, even more. Because we're not your little podcast. Like, fuck y'all, we got listeners.
The hard part is, right, so
and another time, like, it could be years.
I'm not even saying that. Well, that's the piece, right?
It could be years.
Because the next question is,
we're about to have, like, our own TV show, dog.
I have
like,
no
in 5
problem
years.
with getting rid of the pod. It's what I'm going to have a hard time getting rid of. One is the Instagram, and then two is the mic setups and shit.
Oh, you're going to get rid of everything?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Nah.
That means more to me, more than just saying that I ain't gonna pod.
No, you're not getting rid of it.
I don't know. That shit.
Wifey.
I don't know.
Lock it up somewhere for him.
I have no idea about that.
Okay,
so.
we're going to have to pray on that. Nah, we're not getting. This is an investment. If anything, nah.
Like I said, I don't know. I'm only one call.